right, thank you very much for coming. Today is June the 2nd. This is the 5 p.m. update from the Tantallon wildfire site here in Tantallon in the Halifax Regional Municipality. My name is Dave Meldrum. I'm a Deputy Chief with Halifax Regional Fire and Emergency. With us today we have David Steeves, a Forest Resources Technician with the Nova Scotia Department of Natural Resources and Renewables, and Corporal Guy Tremblay of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. On behalf of the Halifax Regional Fire and Emergency Service, I offer a very brief update. Today has been a pretty good day. Our crews are still working very hard. The weather is, as you will hear from David, the weather is giving us an ability to get on some fires here and dig some fires out and help with the perimeter work with hose lines where we can. So our firefighters continue to look for hot spots and flare-ups, and they're on those locations quickly. Residents would have received an emergency alert a short time ago announcing a withdrawal or a rescinding of some of the evacuation order. And it is as follows. A partial evacuation rescind is being issued for the following areas: Lucasville Road from Sackville Drive to Hammonds Plains Road and the areas surrounding timber trails. South of Hammonds Plains Road down to St. George Boulevard and Stillwater Lake area south to Pine Tree Crescent. So in summary, the affected areas are Lucasville Road, St. George's Boulevard area, and Stillwater Lake area. So what's very important is for residents now to check on halifax.ca/fire. Make sure you're in that area that is now allowed to re-enter and safely move towards reoccupying your home. I've been informed by our staff that we've had a web services problem. So as I'm directing you to the website, please give us a minute. There apparently was an IT problem when the website was updated. So the latest information might not be there. Staff are working very hard on that problem as we speak. I also wish to remind everyone that if you were evacuated and you haven't registered yet through 311, please do that. It's very, very important. That's how municipal staff are reaching out and contacting evacuated residents with a number of services and offerings. David?
Good afternoon. I'm David Steeves, the Department of Natural Resources and Renewables. Just a quick update as to the updated area of the fire. So yesterday was a relatively difficult day for our crews, and due to some updated mapping, our fire now sits at 950 hectares. And we were able to keep it at 950 hectares from the very professional work of the firefighters in the field. They did some tremendous things yesterday and was able to keep the growth to that level. Conditions were bad for growth yesterday, as well as a number of fires that sprang up where we had to reallocate resources to deal with those. In combination with our air resources, they were able to accomplish this task by keeping the spread amount small. Also, in addition to that, the fire on Farmers Dairy, we can now say that it is 100% contained, and the firefighters were able to keep it to 4 hectares in size. So today, our relative humidity levels were at a good level. We were sitting around 40% plus. So basically, what that does, it is of no benefit to fire behavior, and our temperatures were down as well. So this was a favorable day. It gave us the ability to make some advances in the field. Our containment still sits at 50%, but that is just because our final reports haven't come in from the field. So today was a relatively good day in regards to forest fire suppression. I'll turn it over to my colleague, Officer Tremblay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bon après-midi, tout le monde. I'm Corporal Guy Tremblay, Public Information Officer for Halifax District RCMP. This afternoon, our operations remain much the same as before. Our officers are actively patrolling those neighborhoods that are still evacuated. Our checkpoints have been adjusted to reflect the current evacuations. En français, alors cet après-midi, nos opérations restent les mêmes. Nos officiers de police sont toujours sur les routes en train de patrouiller les secteurs qui sont évacués. Nos points de contrôle ont été ajustés pour refléter les évacuations présentes. If you have any questions in French, avez-vous des questions en français? I can take them as well. Thank you.
I was wondering if one of you could explain the exact thought process that went into the decision to shrink the evacuation area.
I can start. So yeah, absolutely. This is an ongoing process, and the thought process that goes into expanding or shrinking an evacuation area considers all the risk factors around the fire. So you're hearing my colleague David speak about how the weather is affecting the fire, winds, humidity, the types of fuels. You know, it's very scientific, and I don't claim expertise in that area, but what I do know is this command team is very thoughtful. So they look at those neighborhoods and they say, okay, how far from any possible risk is it? What is the likelihood of a fire starting in that area? What would the spread rate be? How long would we have to notify people and get them out safely and effectively? And they put a bunch of those factors together with a lot of weather data, a lot of fire analysis data, and all that gels up to an IC's risk assessment to say, yeah, I think it's time to let people go back there.
Are they still operating under the 30-minute evacuation order if things take a turn for the worse?
No 30-minute notice to move order is included in the latest changes.
Now, when they returned to their homes, was this a neighborhood where power was shut off? And if so, is it back on?
I'm not 100% certain of all the power issues in all the neighborhoods. In general, I understand power is on. There may be some small areas that don't have power, but I do know Nova Scotia Power is reporting they're making rapid progress. And so if the power is off when folks get home, it's probably well in progress.
On the drive out here, I noticed a plume of smoke coming out of what appeared to be the Prospect area. Is this the fire you folks reported yesterday, or is this a new one?
This is another fire, and I'm going to ask for some help from my colleague because he's got some up-to-date reporting from that sector.
Yes, we just received report of a fire at Exhibition Park. We do have 3 aircraft en route in hopes to knock this down quickly. I do not have any information beyond that, that we do know that it is confirmed there is a fire, and we do have resources on it as we speak.
I realize you just said you don't have any more information, but can you say whether it's the buildings or the property, or?
I don't want to speculate on that because I don't know. I'm sorry.
Are the people who are returning home, did these neighborhoods have any damage to them, or are these?
No, these neighborhoods are largely untouched by they're not touched by the fire. They're undamaged neighborhoods. They were evacuated for the safety as a precaution, but folks should find everything essentially as it was when they left.
A question for Corporal Tremblay. There have been repeated, I guess rumors we'd call them, of break-ins in the area. You say your officers are patrolling. Have you had any evidence of people breaking into these unoccupied homes?
So I haven't received the watch report for today, but this morning when I reviewed the watch report from the previous 24 hours, we had not received any reports of break-ins or thefts at residences. That being said, most of the residences weren't occupied, so in theory we wouldn't be getting those reports. If there are any break-ins when you do return home, please signal it to your RCMP local detachment or local police. So in this case, the detachment here in Tintagel will take those complaints.
But you're looking for vehicles, right? If there was somebody in there breaking in, you'd probably spot them.
Absolutely. So we ask the public, if there is information out there, if you have information regarding suspicious activity in or around those evacuated areas or around the areas that were recently lifted for evacuations, certainly contact the police for further investigation. If it's current break-in ongoing, certainly dial 911 for that urgent request for officers to be present.
Regarding the fire growth from 837 hectares to the 950 hectares, where are we seeing that problem area? And was that all yesterday's growth?
Yes, that was all yesterday's growth. So we've kind of had a few areas that were sticky for us up on the northern end and on the southern end as well. A lot of those were what we discussed this morning in regards to those embers just kind of holding on under those rotten root masses and underneath rocks. And once it gets a little bit of wind to it, it just springs back to life. So we were having constant water drops on those areas of concern, but when conditions are right, it does not take much when fuels are this dry to spring back to life, and that is exactly what happened, and that's exactly what caused our firefighters problems yesterday. So it was just through sheer hard work of the firefighters in the field that we were able to hold it to the degree that we did. We knew that we were going to have elevated fire behavior yesterday, and we were able to hold it just through sheer hard work.
You talked about today being kind of a good fire suppression day. We're all watching the forecast. What can the next 24 hours possibly bring in terms of the efforts you're looking
Well, I am hopeful that if we get some of the precipitation that we're supposed to get, that will reduce the risk for the folks in the field. It will saturate the top levels of the surface. In doing that, we can get in there with hoses, we can get in there with axes, we can increase the production that our fire guards and our heavy machinery is making. And the more actual containment that we can put on this, the safer it's going to be for the firefighters as well as the people that we want to get back into their homes.
Are you able to say how many households or how many people have been able to return to their homes this afternoon?
No, I'm not. This is, emerging as we speak, the opening up of these areas, so I don't have that information right now.
You have cleared Haliburton subdivision. Is that a secondary access road? You've lifted the evacuation zone there, and we're wondering, is that why you have a secondary exit there?
I do not have information in my hands about the road construction in that area, but if you want, I can check into that for you. Send me an email after.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? If not, in closing, we're so very pleased, this entire team of combined services that's working, that today we're able, through this team and the incident commander, to get more people back home. That's important and that's encouraging. That's why we're doing the work we're doing. At the same time, I also want to remind folks, we've got a long way to go. Even with the rain that's forecast, these areas that have been impacted by this fire, there's a lot to do before all those folks are going to be able to go back there. Staff need to do a bunch of things now. Infrastructure checks, roadways, power re-energization, and make sure there are no disconnects in that system. Checking for contamination of ground and water. Fire investigations have to be done. So there's a lot of work, and we're going to do that work as a municipality as quickly as we can. But we're not done firefighting. We need a lot more rain before we are done firefighting, and there's other work to do as well. So we will do that work as quickly as we can. And please bear with us. We're with you. We're with you, and we're thinking about everyone that's not at home today. Thank you very much. We will make ourselves available again tomorrow at 9 and at 5, and after that we'll see where we go.
See you more.
Thank you.